Good evening and welcome to Qnews' continuing special coverage as we mark a historic chapter in American politics, the second 100 days of President Donald Trump's second term. Building on a foundation of sweeping reforms and bold executive action, this phase has seen deepening divides, high-stakes diplomacy and intensified debates over democracy, governance and power. From escalating international tensions to sweeping domestic overhauls, we break down the pivotal developments shaping the nation and the world's trajectory. Stay with us as we analyze the key policies, challenges, and lasting impacts of this critical phase in President Trump's renewed leadership.
It is my honor to introduce to you President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump.
Successful era in the history of our country. From that moment on, it has been nothing but swift and unrelenting action. Back to you. Welcome. God bless America. China, first row. I stood beneath the dome of this Capitol and proclaimed the dawn of the golden age of America.
U.S. President Donald Trump has issued a sweeping executive order expanding the travel ban to cover 43 countries, citing security concerns tied to political instability in those nations. The order categorizes the countries into three main groups. First, a red list of 11 countries whose citizens are entirely barred from entering the United States. Second, an orange list of 10 countries facing strict visa restrictions. Then finally, a yellow list of 22 countries given a 60-day period to address U.S. security concerns or face escalated restrictions. Trump's new directive also nullifies all executive orders previously issued by President Joe Biden that had relaxed immigration procedures for nationals from several of the now listed countries. And in just 100 days of his second term, President Donald Trump has made sweeping changes across the United States, altering everything from the economy to cultural norms. His bold actions have sparked global reactions, and with no signs of slowing down, the impact of his presidency is being felt across every sector.
My fellow Americans, this is Liberation Day. Waiting for a long time.
100 days into his unprecedented second term, President Donald Trump has already reshaped America with a speed and scope unmatched in modern history. From Wall Street to the southern border, no aspect of national life has been left untouched.
If you look at that,
the markets reeled as Trump's aggressive tariffs, some hitting 145%, sparked a global trade war, sending treasury bonds into chaos while egg prices soared to record highs. Elon Musk's newly created Department of Government Efficiency slashed federal jobs by the tens of thousands, even as Tesla's profits collapsed under the weight of retaliatory tariffs.
we will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came.
Immigration enforcement saw dramatic changes, with border crossings plummeting to 25-year lows. But controversy erupted when hundreds of deportees, including a wrongly detained Maryland apprentice, were sent to El Salvador's notorious prison system, defying Supreme Court orders. Birthright citizenship, enshrined in Constitution, was abruptly revoked by executive action. Cultural battles raged as DEI programs vanished from government and universities. Black Lives Matter Plaza was erased from Washington's streets.
We're going to be changing the name of the Gulf
While the Gulf of Mexico officially became the Gulf of America. In federal documents, the White House press corps was overhauled, with mainstream outlets replaced by pro-Trump media. Abroad, allies scrambled to adapt, Canada faced existential threats as Trump mused about making it the 51st state, while Vice President Vance tested Greenland's receptiveness to American takeover. At home, Democrats hit record low approval ratings as Trump's legal troubles vanished. His federal indictments dismissed by a Justice Department now firmly under his control. And in his most audacious move yet, Trump has begun floating the possibility of a third term, defying constitutional limits while selling Trump 2028 merchandise. After just 3 months, one thing is clear. This presidency recognized no boundaries, traditional or even legal.
And for more analysis, we now move to Henny Saif in our newsroom. Hello, Henny.
Hello, Selma. Ladies and gentlemen, for more insight, we're joined from California by the retired U.S. Air Force Colonel Ray Powell. Welcome to Qnews, Colonel Powell. Now, how might Trump's foreign policy realignments during his second term influence the long-term U.S. alliances and global power structures?
Well, President Trump certainly takes a different view of alliances. He generally sees them as often creating dependencies that are unhealthy, and also often will think that allies don't carry their own weight. So we can certainly expect to see a lot of pressure put on allies to spend more on defense, to make greater commitments to their regional problems. And, and certainly won't be quite the heyday that allies had, say, in the last administration.
Mm-hmm. Well, what would you say are the constitutional implications that could arise from Trump's potential pursuit of extended executive power beyond the traditional limits?
Well, I think he's certainly going to test those limits, right? So, things like the power to levy tariffs or, those kinds of things are given explicitly to Congress in the Constitution. Now, the Congress over the years has in some ways given some of that up to the presidency in even previous administrations, but I think we're going to see that very much tested in the Donald Trump presidency.
Mm-hmm. Well, economically, how have Trump's economic policies and tariff strategies impacted America's competitiveness in the emerging global markets?
I think what we're seeing right now is that investors are not really sure what to expect from the U.S. administration, and that has frozen a lot of investment decisions. So I think that that's going to probably begin to play a larger role in not just markets, but direct investment in the U.S. economy. And I think that over time that will be a drag on the markets. And so I think that's one of those things that as we get deeper into 2025, we're going to see how that plays politically in the United States.
Mm-hmm. So in what ways have shifts in immigration enforcement under Trump altered the social fabric and demographics of American communities?
Yeah, I don't think there's been, so I think that the numbers we're talking about so far in terms of actually, sending people out of the United States are still relatively small on an absolute scale. I think the big change has been at the border itself, where you've seen essentially a complete stoppage of the masses of people who are crossing the southern border in the last administration. And I think that the Trump administration will continue to hold that up as being a success. And that's one of the actions he's taken that have been quite popular.
Mm-hmm. What role would you say do the alternative media platforms play in shaping public opinion, political narratives in the post-Trump media environment, and how might that affect the civic engagement?
Well, I think we've already been seeing, even going into this administration, we've seen an atomization of the media environment where everybody gets the news that they want to get. So, I think that what you're seeing now with, the president bringing in certain more less mainstream, as you would say, media outlets into the White House is just a continuation of that trend that's been going on for some time. And I think that's been one of the things that's led to the polarization of our politics, is that everybody is getting their news and learning what's important from their own favorite outlets, which means that we don't really agree on what the facts are right now.
Mm-hmm. Ladies and gentlemen, from California, that was the retired U.S. Air Force Colonel Ray Powell. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us here on Q News. Selma, back to you.
Thank you so much, Haney. And in his first 100 days of a historic second term, President Donald Trump has swiftly set the stage for a new era of U.S. policy, one marked by bold shifts both at home and abroad. From intrepid trade moves to strategic foreign realignments, his actions signal a commitment to reshaping the nation's priorities and its role on the world stage. Let's take a closer look at the changes unfolding in his unprecedented chapter of his presidency with our presenter, Selma Marwan, in our studio.
President Donald Trump's first 100 days in office have seen a series of major policy moves that reflect his American First agenda. From trade negotiations to foreign policy realignments, the administration is taking a direct and strategic approach to reshaping both domestic priorities and global engagement. The White House launched a broad set of initiatives, including new tariffs, a recalibration of foreign aid, and a renewed emphasis on strengthening U.S. sovereignty. Trump's policies have signaled a shift towards a more transactional style of diplomacy and governance. The administration's approach has sparked discussions among allies regarding future security arrangements. Several nations are reassessing defense capabilities and economic partnerships as they adapt to changes in American foreign and security policy. In response to evolving U.S. strategies, countries such as Germany, South Korea, and Canada are exploring greater defense independence and stronger regional cooperation. Economic ties are also being reviewed amid broader global realignments. Domestically, Trump's second term has seen an increased focus on border security, judicial reforms, and immigration policies. These actions have generated robust public debate and drawn international attention to internal shifts within the United States. Global markets have reacted to tariff measures and trade policy changes, leading to economic adjustments in key sectors. Meanwhile, territorial proposals, including discussions about Greenland and the Panama Canal, have added new dimensions to U.S. diplomacy. The White House has emphasized that its actions are designed to enhance American prosperity, protect national interests, and secure U.S. borders. Officials highlight renewed diplomatic efforts aimed at resolving conflicts and rebalancing international relations. Analysts suggest that the evolving U.S. approach could have a lasting impact on the international system. As countries adjust their strategies, experts believe the next few years will be critical in shaping a new global order. As Trump's second-term agenda continues to unfold, both allies and rivals are closely monitoring developments. The coming period is expected to define America's global role and influence future diplomatic, security, and economic landscapes.
Amazon has said in an updated statement that while it was previously considering breaking out tariff charges on its Amazon Whole site, that change is no longer in the works. The announcement comes after the White House attacked Amazon over a media report that the company planned to break out tariff charges. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said that Amazon's announcement that it will include the price of tariffs on the price tag for products that is a hostile act. That exemption is scheduled to expire on May the 2nd as a result of an executive order President Trump signed earlier in April.
Amazon has partnered with a Chinese propaganda arm. So this is another reason why Americans...
HSBC has warned that the fallout from U.S. President Donald Trump's global trade war could hurt loan demand and credit quality, signaling tougher times ahead for trade-focused banks. This comes despite the bank's first quarter profit beating forecasts. Europe's largest bank reported a pre-tax profit of $9.5 billion for the first quarter, down from $12.7 billion a year earlier, mainly due to one-time charges related to business disposals in Canada and Argentina. HSBC, one of the world's largest trade financing banks, reaffirmed its targets and announced a fresh $3 billion share buyback. The earnings update marked the clearest warning yet from a major bank on how Trump's tariff actions could dampen business sentiment and harm lenders. And as President Trump's second term reaches its first 100 days, the administration has made bold strides in reshaping America's business and economic landscape. From market shifts to regulatory reforms and international trade challenges, the impacts are already being felt across industries.
As we mark the first 100 days of President Trump's second term, the administration has delivered significant change across economic policy, business regulation, and international trade relations. The bold moves have created both challenges and opportunities for markets and businesses alike. The economic landscape has seen dramatic shifts since the April 2nd tariff announcements, with market volatility reflecting both concerns about trade tensions and optimism about domestic industry growth. While initial reactions included significant market adjustments, many business leaders see potential long-term benefits in the administration's focus on American manufacturing and reshoring initiatives. On the regulatory front, the administration has moved swiftly to streamline government oversight, particularly in the financial sector. The SEC has paused some disclosure requirements while maintaining core investor protections, and banking regulators are working to tailor rules based on institution size and risk profile. These changes aim to reduce compliance burdens while maintaining financial stability. International deal-making has faced headwinds from trade policy uncertainty, but some major transactions, like the Capital One merger, have moved forward with regulatory approval. Corporate leaders are adapting to the new environment, with many expressing cautious optimism about potential tax and regulatory reforms still under consideration. The administration's approach to workplace diversity programs has prompted reevaluations across corporate America, with some companies adjusting their policies while others maintain commitments to inclusive hiring practices. This remains an evolving area of focus for businesses navigating the current policy landscape. As we look ahead, business leaders and economists are watching several key indicators, from trade negotiations to interest rate policy, that will shape the economic trajectory of this administration. The first 100 days have set a clear direction, with the full impact of these changes likely to become clearer in the coming months.
And we now move on to the latest updates in Gaza. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has issued a stark warning, emphasizing the urgency of international action to halt the ongoing Israeli bombardment of Gaza. Speaking with a sense of urgency, Guterres stated, "We are past the stage of ticking boxes. The clock is ticking," and called for immediate steps to stop impunity. And he also warned that the two-state solution is nearing a point of no return, urging the international community to act collectively before it's too late. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has commanded members of the country's security establishment and said the return of detainees is a sacred mission. The Israeli occupation army pushes its offensive in Gaza, while 59 detainees are believed to be held there. Earlier in the week, Netanyahu has vowed that Israel would maintain military control of Gaza and said he wouldn't allow the Palestinian Authority to replace Hamas. The United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees has described the ongoing siege on Gaza as a silent killer, warning of its devastating impact on the enclave's 2.3 million residents. The UNRWA spokesperson, Juliette Thoma, said the blockade is worsening already dire humanitarian conditions, with nearly 10,000 cases of acute malnutrition among children reported in 2025. Including 1,600 classified as severe, according to a recent UN report. Thoma highlighted the desperation of families, saying children in Gaza are now going to bed hungry. And moving to global news, the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in a high-level meeting with the top defense establishment, has affirmed that it is India's national resolve to deal a crushing blow to terrorism. According to government sources, Prime Minister Modi said that they have complete operational freedom to decide on the mode, targets, and timing of our response. He further expressed complete faith and confidence in the professional abilities of the Indian Armed Forces. The European Commission has called for Europe to learn lessons following the largest power outage in the history of Spain and Portugal. While the cause remains unclear, Commission spokesperson Eva Hrnisarova emphasized that both countries are experienced in managing high volumes of renewable energy and that the EU regulations ensure systems are equipped to handle such supply. The European Commission said Spanish and Portuguese grid operators are well experienced in managing high volumes of renewable energy and that there is sufficient expertise to handle such challenges. Investigations into the cause of the outage are still ongoing.
Actors are busy in the coming days and weeks, and when the moment
Spanish electricity grid operator has said its preliminary assessment had ruled out cyber attack as the cause of the nationwide power outage that hit most of Spain and Portugal. RE's system operations chief Eduardo Prieto said the electricity system was hit by a dramatic power generation loss in southwestern Spain that caused instability in the system that led to its disconnection from the French grid. He said it was quite possible that the affected generation was solar, but it was too early to say for sure. Prieto said the system was now stable and working normally. Prieto also vowed to reinforce the country's power connections with France, including via the Bay of Biscay, following the huge blackout. And this concludes our special coverage on the first 100 days of President Trump's second term. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok at Qnews EG to stay informed. This was Salma Al-Fi'i, and thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more updates on Q News.